make the music first. Just make whatever you want to make first, and worry about what you want to come out first later on. Just make the tunes first. If you make the tunes, no matter what your influence is, just keep on making them. You'll find a sound.
Welcome to Making Conversation with me, Brydon, a podcast about music, creativity and careers. For this series, I've sat down with a range of artists and creative professionals in order to learn about how their unique experiences and perspectives can help us in our own creative and business practices. For this episode, I spoke to singer, producer and multi-instrumentalist BenjiFlow. The day before the release of his debut EP, BENERGY, we sat down to reflect on his story so far. The timeless sound that exists on tracks like Deep End and Can't Lose is a product of a musical development that's taken his entire life, from learning classical piano as a kid and playing almost every instrument at church, to recording grime tracks as a teenager and broadening his influences when he went to college. He discusses how these experiences have made their way into his music and live shows, how going against the grain is paying off, and why making music is freedom. What are your first ever musical experiences that you remember in terms of like the first music that you heard that had some sort of effect on you?
Do you know what? It was gospel music. I just remember growing up in my house and my dad was just like, he just used to bang out gospel, Kurt Franklin, Fred Hammond, just anything of that sort. My dad just used to bang out that music. Between that and reggae,
right,
my dad used to knock out. It was so funny because as like commercial as for a Caribbean, you would think like Bob Marley is. My dad just used to knock him out. He used to knock out Bob Marley. He used to knock out like Gregory Isaacs. He used to knock out like all the super well-known reggae artists. So between gospel and reggae, they were like my mad early experiences. And yeah, my grandma, it just used to be gospel.
Yeah.
Every like my house, my auntie's house, my grandma's house. It was almost like I just didn't even hear anything else for like the first 6 years of my life. It was just like gospel. But yeah, that was like the early times I remember, man.
And were you into it? Because I know obviously sometimes when it's like older people in your family are into it, you don't necessarily love it the way they do. Did you feel like that passion for it?
Yeah, I loved it. I remember being young, listening to Kurt Franklin and just thinking like, this is amazing, like this is crazy. I remember we used to go to my auntie's house, who used to live in Wolverhampton, every Easter for 2 weeks, and we used to like, she plays piano and stuff, and she used to play the songs that Kurt Franklin was playing, and I remember this from an early age, and I remember just thinking like, this is so sick, like this is just so sick. This is like, what, like this is, I remember just being young like, yo, this is sick. And none of my friends in school used to think that, but it didn't really matter because it was like me and my sisters and my cousins used to rock out to it, my older cousins and that. So it was like a family that just loved gospel. It was, you know, we loved it from the jump. Yeah, man.
Was gospel what got you playing piano, or was that because I know you played like classical?
Yeah, but that actually wasn't by choice. That was my parents doing. My parents put me in rhythm class from when I was 5. They so it was a Saturday school. We had a teacher called Mrs. McNeil. Yeah. She's a lovely lady, man. I hope she's alright still. So we was learning rhythm from when I was 5. I started when I was 5. My sister started when she was 7. So we used to like learn clapping rhythms, and used to be on like the triangle, and we used to test out different rhythms. When that was like the class, and then we used to do like singing stuff. She went on to learn piano. She came out of the class, and I carried on because I was younger. And then I went on to learn piano from when I was like 6 or 7 or so. I went to learn classical piano, and I still to this day I don't know why they just went that route with me. Yeah, but they just said that all of the kids have to learn an instrument. And I actually don't know why. Maybe because my dad loves music so much, but they were just like, every single one of you better learn something.
At the time, did you see a connection between like the music that you were into and the music that you were kind of learning to play, or just the process of learning an instrument?
Nah. So when I was learning my instrument, when I was learning the piano, I was learning classical, and I did not like classical at all, because it was just, to me at that point, it was so rigid. It had less emotion than all the other genres that I was listening to. So if I was like playing classical and learning these scales and reading these notes, but then I'm listening to gospel, which just has so much emotion and reggae and everything like that, I had no correlation. So I kind of fell out with love of playing piano from quite a young age, from when I went to secondary school, because I just didn't want to be a classical rude boy. This is like, that's dead. You know what I'm saying? There was no correlation when I was young. It was just about learning the instrument.
I know you had like an experience in church playing
keyboard. Yeah.
What happened there?
It's my dad, man. Again, it's crazy because my dad, as laid back as he is, he's not that laid back. He's on some like, he's just like me. He's just the keyboard player didn't turn up. And I remember, I remember when it was as well. It was when Ordinary People came out by
John Legend.
John Legend, yeah. And I learnt that song by ear. That was the first song I learnt by ear, because I didn't know how to play by ear before that. And my dad heard me play that by ear in my house. And I swear to you, it was like that Sunday, he was like, yep, son, the keyboard player hasn't turned up, so you've got to play the whole church service. I said, bro, this is like 2 hours of like different keys, different notes, different everything. He was like, yeah, man, just pick it up where you can and just carry on. I was like, bruv, I've just learnt Ordinary People in one key. I don't know what I'm doing. And this guy was dead serious about he made me play. And when I didn't know the notes or the keys or anything, he just carried on. He didn't care. That guy didn't care at all, man. Legendary guy, man. He didn't care at all. But that was like my first experience in there. And then from then, I had always been thrown into madness. And that was sick, because he just prepared me for like the worst from early.
What's your dad's connection to music? Did he play?
Oh, yeah. So my dad sings.
Right.
My dad's a showerman singer. Like he can... Like he doesn't, I don't think he ever sings flat, ever. He's like, he can sing. He can really, really sing. So he grew up singing. Him and my aunties were in a band together. And then like two years ago or something like that, I produced his album.
Right.
Yeah. So he's got a gospel album. I produced it as well. As like one of his goals that he's always wanted to do is have an album out. So I just produced an album with him. It's like my gift back to my dad for all those things that he's helped me out with. But he's just a lover of music. If he wasn't a pastor, or if he wasn't doing advertisement, he would just be doing music. Well, he does music now. Like yesterday, he just came home from the session. He was singing in the choir for like on a Burna Boy song or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. And I just found that funny. Like, look at that, man. Look, he's just still out here singing songs. He's all learning the Yoruba lyrics and everything. I was dying. It's hilarious, man.
What's his name and what's the name of the album?
So his name's Brydon Jones, and the album's called... I can't even remember what it's called. I'll find out the name of it.
Right.
There. I'll get it to you.
What was the first music that you felt like was yours, that you were bringing home, rather than the music that was already in the house?
Do you know how tough that is? Because the music that was being brought in the house was so sick. So my older sister, she got introduced by like George Duke, Herbie Hancock, Yellow Jackets, that whole jazz scene from she was like 11. Their Music Soul Child, like Nora Jones. She was getting introed to that side of music. So my auntie used to give her this music. I don't even know why my auntie did that, because my auntie... She's like giving like a 10, 11-year-old like listen to jazz. Like, it's crazy. Yeah, my sister used to come home and she used to be like, yo, listen to this. This is like, listen to George Duke. This is what I'm listening to right now. So I used to listen to that from her. And then when it was like time for me to bring in music. Even now we have like sound clashes because we want to have the best music in the house. So my intro to music was more so like it was a cross between whatever Pharrell produced and grime. My sisters, they didn't listen to grime like that, but then I got into Dizzy Rascal, like mad. Dizzy Rascal and Skepta, I got into them so much so I used to bring home that music when they were bringing home like jazz and whatever, and I just be like, yo, you gotta listen to Boy in the Corner. It's like, this is crazy. I remember being young, like, yo, this is crazy. I remember turning my New Era cap to the side like Dizzy, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, that was like my intro into the world, because we always try and find something different to bring each time. We never want to bring the same thing. Yes, I remember that being like my intro to like my music that you guys got to listen to.
Did the rest of the house take to your music the way that you had taken to the stuff they were playing?
Now my mum and dad just thought this is what the heck is this? Like, yeah, they just did not understand it at all. My older sister understood it because obviously she was kind of the similar era, and then my younger sister was just too young, but she just used to listen to it anyway because she had no choice. So with the grime stuff and everything else, I just used to more so play that in my own room because it's not a music that you play in that whole house. So when it got to grime and that was like my own time when I was exploring music other than gospel and other than jazz and then other than like hardcore neo soul, and I got into grime and it was just in my room.
What was it that you loved about Pharrell? Because I saw something that when you were like 10 years old, you wanted to be like him.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like even now I still do, because there's just something about Pharrell that I don't understand how he understands how to make a good song all the time. And that's kind of like similar to my music, where you don't look at Pharrell and you'd say like Pharrell's got the craziest voice in the world, or you don't listen to the production and say, you know, this is like Quincy Jones production with loads of strings, whatever. But you listen to the song, and every time you listen to a song that he's either produced or he's on, you can't help but like love the song. And it's like, I was so shocked from early on because it was only one of the first people that I used to see produce the music and then be on the songs as well. I used to be like, yo, this guy is incredible, and he used to dress so well. It's like, yo, I just want to be like this guy, you know what I'm saying? It's just, that's mad. I want to be like this guy, definitely.
Outside of like learning the piano, what was the first time you started to sort of create music for yourself rather than just learn something that already existed?
Oh, okay. It's funny. I remember when I used to MC when I was in school, and I remember having Fruity Loops when I was like 13 or something like that on my like mum's and dad's computer. And I remember like messing around with Fruity Loops, and I made one beat, and I remember showing everyone in school. I mean, I showed everybody. I told the whole school, and I was like, yo, everyone's got a rap. It was a rap beat. Everyone was doing grime, but it was like a rap BPM, and I was showing all the MCs. I was making them freestyle over this beat for every single day over school. This is like the one beat I made. I couldn't even, my beats were never good again, and that was like my intro into like making beats. And you'll even see on my year 6, I got like a what you want to be. You know when you get those school booklets? Yeah, and I said I wanted to be a producer. So I knew from like when I was 10, 11, that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I wanted to be. So when I got Fruity Loops on like Windows at like 13, that was like my first intro to like making something myself.
What do you think it was about that side particularly that interested you? Because I guess it's probably more common that people want to be the MC or people want to be the artist.
Yeah, Kanye, man, and Kanye and Pharrell, just like, and it's a gospel producer called Warren Campbell.
Right. So
when I was like 10, 9 or something, my uncle, who's also in music as well, used to do vocal producing and whatever, and he, back in the day, he had a session with Mary, who's like a proper old school two gospel singers, a duo, and the producer is a guy called Warren Campbell. And I remember my uncle took me to the studio similar to this, and he walked in there and he played every single instrument, like everyone. He picked up the drums, he played the drums, he picked up the bass, played the bass, picked up the keys, played the keys. And I remember being like, nah, man, I gotta be like this. I don't care about that. I want to be this guy who just walked around the studio and played like every instrument. Even speaking to you now almost feels destined, because these were all like signs and things that I was into from such an early age. And now I'm only realizing how much it's connected, from like seeing Warren Campbell at like 9 to like looking up to Pharrell and Kanye, and then just like making my first beat. All of those things coincide, and I'm just seeing it now. It's just like, alright, I hear that.
Yeah.
Hear God, trust me.
Because I guess a lot of 10-year-olds haven't even considered where the music actually comes from. They just hear the music, but they don't know that there's a producer even involved.
Exactly. I was exposed to that world from such an early age. My family, they're just creatives anyway, so the fact that I got exposed to that world, I had the option to want to become that person. And it was like, I knew from 10 or 11, I chose to want to be that guy. And however long it took, it might take 10 years, 15 years, it might take 9, but when you find your love, you always somehow go back to that if you love it properly.
So from that Fruity Loops beat, where do you next go in terms of your journey as a producer? I
wanted to always get the right gear and stuff. I remember my computer broke down, so I never had anything to like work on for ages. And then I remember being like 16, as soon as I came out of school. I remember being like, nah, I need to get a Saturday job because I need to save up to get a Mac, because everyone's got a Mac that I'm seeing. So I need to get a Mac, I need to get a keyboard, I need to get speakers. So I remember working from 16. It took me like 2 years, and I saved up all my P's. And at like 18, I got my first Mac, like an old school white Mac. Yeah. I paid P's. I got my first Mac at 18, I remember, and a little keyboard, some speakers, and I threw out my bed and got the bunk bed with like, the little space underneath.
Right.
Yeah, so I could put my setup in my room. That was like the next step into me producing all my stuff, and that was 18. That was shower.
When did your instrumental skills start coming into the production, and that talent that you already had for classical piano and stuff like that? When did that start to manifest in the production?
From quite early, because I remember at that point I was playing keyboards in church from my dad, so my ear was getting better and better and better. And then at that point they found a keyboard player that they liked, so they moved me over to drums or something like that, and I was playing drums for a while. Then they got a drummer, and then they just moved me over to bass, and then I was just playing bass for a while, and then they got a bass guitar player, and then I was just moved over to guitar. So I had always wanted to incorporate my playing in my songs, so I just made that a thing from the jump. Like, I got to get a sound card so it has like a lead, so I can put a bass in there and play it. So it was like from the jump, I wanted instruments in there.
When you were at church, kind of getting moved around all of these instruments, had you practiced them before at home, and did you how good were you on them before you?
Those were the times when I was like absolutely obsessed with instrumentation. So if I had to learn something, I'd spend hours and countless hours. Like, my fingers would be sore. Like, I used to get blisters from playing the bass guitar for so many hours just to learn scales up and down. Like, I was such a neek. I used to switch from each instrument. I used to go to church and play the drums along to gospel music just non-stop for the whole. My dad used to hate it. Oh my gosh. They used to tell me, man, come on, man, just stop, just take a break, have some food. I used to go. So I was obsessed. I was absolutely obsessed with playing. So luckily I got to a good enough standard where I can play all my instruments to quite a decent level.
When I did this with Rags, he said that the first recorded sort of thing that he made was like a MC thing that he did with you.
Yeah.
Was that your first recorded song, or had you recorded vocals before?
Nah, that was my first recorded one as well. Me and Rags, like 12, recording into a webcam. Oh, that was funny, man. at my friend's house on my road who cuts my hair now. It's funny. That is how life works. He's a barber now. He's doing really well. And we recorded in his house. And I remember like back in the day, you just have to spit like the craziest bar. Even if I was 12, so I had never done the things that I said on those bars. And I remember Rags going first and Rags just going nuts. He was talking so crazy. I said I wrote my bars. I didn't even know, man. I might talk about rocket launchers. I might talk things I never had or never did. But everyone was going so hard on the track. I remember, that was like the early days. Me and Rags were just like our first encounter.
And that was just coming off like the sort of grime that was happening at the time. And so your first kind of journey into vocals was through that, or had you been singing and stuff in the church already?
Nah. So in my house, like you gotta do one or the other. Like, you either gotta be able to sing or you gotta play. Even my little cousins who are like 7, 6 and like 8 and stuff like that, they're bad boy singers and bad girl singers, or they play. The little cousins play drums whatever, 6, 5 years old. You do either one. So I went the instrument route, so I was never singing. So my first intro into vocals was literally when I was MCing. Right. So it was like those days when I was jumping on Rags' first tune and then MCing from there. That was like my first intro into the vocal world.
And when you were MCing, were you trying to be an artist, or was it more just that thing of that was what kids were doing at that time?
I think I was dead serious about it.
Right, yeah.
No, I think I was so serious about MCing. I don't know why. But I think that's what everyone was doing. But back in the day, everyone was serious about it. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't even like a game. It was really like you're an MC. You know, you're trying to put your stuff up on MySpace. You are really trying to become that person. So it was like proper serious. You can even ask Rags back then. No one took it as a joke. Man used to write their bars, be so serious about it. I don't even know who we thought we was gonna be. But that we took it as like a serious thing. You
were writing like structured songs. It wasn't just sort of sci-fi.
Yeah. So that first freestyle that I was on with Rags was just a freestyle. But I remember there was something called Axe FM back in the day, and I remember we formed a crew at Axe FM with like some of my guys, and then we had to structure the song. I can remember it like it's yesterday. I remember us all being in the room and being like, okay, cool. You've got 8 bar. Then we got to go into the chorus because people got to sing the song. Then you got 8 bar. Then you've got 8 bar. Then we got to sing the chorus again. Then one more 8 bar. Then we got to go to the chorus twice. So you were structuring the songs from early. Because I knew I never wanted to just be an MC that's just freestyling all the way. I wanted to have rhythms that people can sing.
When did you start to bring the vocals and the production that you were doing together? Did you MC over any of your own beats?
No, because I never thought I was that good
at which
producing.
Right.
Yeah, I was always a good MC, but when I stopped producing, I always wanted to just produce, but I never had equipment to do it because obviously my computer broke down and stuff. So I was just MCing on other people's stuff. And it wasn't until like 18 again when I got my stuff that I was just messing around doing my own vocals. But then again, I didn't rap. Like I was singing on my songs. And it was like completely different music to grime. I have no idea why.
So you don't remember how you came to kind of evolve from spitting grime to singing?
I think it was a transition from leaving school. So everybody in school's an MC, right? But then when you start getting into college times, you start seeing and speaking to different people. Where I lived, the environment, not my household, the environment was quite rough. So I had to get out. I had to get out of the environment. So I went to college in Edgware Road, City of Westminster. I remember going to college there and everyone was so different. It was crazy. Oh my gosh, it was crazy. That was the first time I saw like the earring where they put the hole in the earring and it's like the big...
Right.
Yeah.
Plugs.
Yeah, plugs. That's it. That's the first time I saw that. I said, jeez, man, this is crazy. That's the first time I remember seeing that. So, but they were all exposed to different music. So when I started producing, I was in a classroom and around people who were listening to so much different music that if you came and just MC'd, you're not really shower like that in my class. So it was like, oh, I wanted to just do something else, a bit more musical, step into that realm. Luckily, I got the freedom to do that because I was around those people. It probably would have been tough if I was probably just still in like, you know, the ends, just trying to MC wherever.
So did you discover new music when you moved into that environment
100%,
as well?
yeah. College was a whole nother experience. It was just every day I had to be around people who were different. Some of them listened to no urban music whatsoever. So anything that I bring in is completely new to their world. That was a time that I got introduced properly to like folk music madly, because one of the guys in my class used to play guitar and was amazing, but that's when I delved deep into like folk music. But he only listened to that, so anything that I brought wasn't his world at all. So that's when I got exposed to like mad wider range of music, and that's when I started to really explore like sound and stuff, because I wanted them to rate my music as well. You know, MCing is like 140 BPM. You don't even know what I'm saying at all. Yeah.
So at that point, when you were making these songs, were you putting them out at that time?
I didn't put them out, but I used to make like silly little things. It was my birthday one year, and I made like a happy birthday song to myself. That was just mad musicals, had mad chords. I put mad harmonies in there, and I just put it. I don't know why. And the song said, "Thank you for your messages. I just want to thank you," and it just kept going round and round, but in a mad musical way. And everyone was like, yo, this is hard. I don't even know why I did that. I have no idea why I did that at all.
And that's just like going around college kind of.
Yeah. And then they just used to be like, oh, this is hard. And I just used to make like silly little things and give it to my college friends and stuff. Just then it was just fun, playing around, being free. And they never judged, because we all came from different backgrounds. So it was so free and it was so cool, man. It was so open. It's an amazing experience.
Were you studying music?
Yeah, music technology I was studying. I can tell you from the years learning music technology in college and learning music technology in university, I've learned nothing about music technology at all. I've learned more through experiences than I had during the studying times.
Yeah.
But it still was the best periods of my life.
So what did you do to take it from that level of just like playing around and having fun and being free to sort of elevate that to the next level, to take it more seriously?
When I left university, I saved all my money from uni, because every time at the term ends, I used to go back to ASDA when I was working and work, and then save my money. And then I saved my money in university, and then I built a studio right when I finished university with me and my cousin, because I said every producer has an office. It's just like, you know how everybody goes to work and they have an office that they have a work from. At that point, no one was working from home. So I was like, nah, I need a place to work from. So I built that studio. The moment I built that studio, I was like, nah, this is it. We're taking this all the way to the top. And that was from that point on, we just kept going.
For a while, you were producing for other artists,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
How did you start to get some placements, and who were you producing for?
It was tough, man. Producing for other people was just tough, bro, because music was just not so accessible back then, or it wasn't so exposed to so many different sounds. So in the UK, what you heard on the radio was just like what you had to make. But my music has always been a bit too musical for people, or like for some reason they would just always want to put me with the rap acts, and I just didn't want to always make rap tunes. I wanted to make melodies. So the journey of producing for other people was tough. That's always one thing I want to say to people, is like, you know, don't think that you're not good if you don't always get the placements or you don't always get the cuts. It might not just be right for those people, or it might not actually just be the time. Just keep going and it will connect. It will connect where it needs to connect. And that was the thing that I thought was tough for me, because I actually, for all that period of time when I was producing, I just used to be so disheartened, because it was like, yo, am I just not good? Because, like, you know, I want to produce a ballad for like someone who sounds like Adele, but then every time I would approach these people to say I want to work with someone, they would go on my socials or whatever and say, oh yeah, we got this rapper for you, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I didn't want to do that, but then I had to get in the door. I had to go and do some of the stuff that, you know, you have to do to get into the door. So I just used to grind. I'd get as much sessions as I could. And then, you know, earlier on, me and Ace Keys did some stuff with Avelino. Did like his first record, I think it was at Money Over Everything. We did like early stuff with Loic Essien and Wretch. Had a song together, and then just did a few other people. And it wasn't until like I linked Rags that we got real musical, like properly. But yeah, it was producing for other artists was tough, man. It was hard, real hard. Just never used to work out. They used to be like, yeah, this is cool, but let's just try, like, have you heard this song? Let's just try and make something nice. I was like, alright, cool, man.
What do you think kept you, though, on the path that you're on, rather than just taking the kind of easier route? And because I'm sure you could produce that stuff, and you could have just went down that 100%. Path. What was it that kept you where you are and like on that road?
Everyone else around me, because I had like musical friends. They can tell when like it's actually rubbish. You know what I'm saying? It's like we know what you're trying to do, but like, you know, this isn't really the sound that you should go for. So I always wanted to impress them first. The musical people around me was the ones that I wanted to impress. So no matter what I did, as long as they liked it, I knew like, yo, I can, you know, let me keep going, let me keep carrying on. Because to be honest, if I was by myself, it would have been even harder. It was a lucky thing I linked Rags, because he looked like me, he spoke like me, but then we listened to the exact same music, and he was one of the first people that, you know, we both bounced off each other, no matter how crazy the ideas were, and that was one of the things that kept us both going.
Because obviously you've already recorded with him right at the start. How did you come back together?
That's a mad story, because we didn't link up with each other for years and years, but we grew up in the same area. We know the same people. Everything is just the same. So even now, like, we're not even like musical friends like that. We're like friends. We're musical friends as well, but we're friends. So our convos can be about things that happen, you know, in 2000 and Philippine, whenever, about North London, and we know exactly what we're saying. We don't have to say who or what or where, because we were both in those situations at the same time. So linking up with Rags, he just saw me in North London somewhere, and he was just like, yo, you still making music? I was like, yeah, man. He's like, alright, man, I'm gonna come to your studio. This guy came to my studio. I'll never forget, man. Came to my studio. He walked in the room. He was like, oh, okay, it's a studio. He's like, oh, you're trying to take it seriously. I was thinking, this guy walking in my studio like this, on this rudeness. And I remember he played his beats and everything that he was working on. It was sounding sick, man. And then I played mine, and he was like, yeah, man, this is cool, but man, you need some new drums, man. And I'm just looking at this guy like, bro, what? This guy really speaking to me like, I haven't seen this guy in years, and you really have the audacity to tell me that I need to change my drums. I was thinking, nah, this guy is rude. And he was like, yeah, man, I'm gonna come back tomorrow. I'm gonna give you my whole hard drive of drums. You know, just take every single drum that I have, man, and just try and make some new beats. And I was just like, you know, I don't know if I want to speak to this guy again in my life. But this guy he kept coming to my studio, and he kept calling me, and he was so persistent. I was just like, yeah, I can't really get away from this guy at all. So we just had a relationship from there that was so transparent in what we was doing, that if it was good, it was good. If it was bad, I would say to Rags, oh, this is trash. Don't even try and put this out. This is terrible. So we always had that relationship. So it was from that moment that he came to the studio that we just, you know, started vibes and going back and forth on beats, and then working together. Any session that he had, he would call me. Any session I would have, I would call him. That was like the start.
Because then obviously you worked on Nature, right? And
yeah.
Obviously co-produced Deep End.
Yeah.
Was that kind of all around the same time that you were working on that stuff?
Nah, so we worked on Nature first. And Rags, so he would like make a song, and then like he would drive to where I am, and then he would just play the song in the car like all the time, or he would send me what he would be working on, and we would just go back and forth from there. He's like my musical like Padawan. It's like, you know, we send music back and forth so much that we should change this. The structure should be. So I was there throughout the whole process of Nature. Even when Nature didn't sound like it was then, I was back and forth on that whole process, and and then I worked on a couple songs on there. I think it's Endless. I worked on that one as well. So that was me working on his project. And then when it came to like Deep End, that was just another. But it's all natural. It's all like nothing that's forced. Some days we don't send music at all, and then other days we send music all the time for a whole period of time. But it's just so natural that it doesn't feel like it's work like that. It just feels like, we just made a rhythm. We're just sending you the tune to hear your thoughts. So yeah, that was me working on Rags' project.
And then the whole EP, or most of it, you made around the same time, right?
Yeah. So this EP that's coming out was most of the songs, bar the last song, was made all around that period. Like when you listen to the EP, or even when you listen to my music this year, it's more so the expression of being free. I don't have to put myself into one bracket of sound because there's no expectation. I was nobody before the tunes came out, and I'm like, there's no difference to when the music comes out. I'm just a lover of music. So this year is like the year of just exploring. So that EP was all made during that time, and obviously Rags in on that process as well.
I think it's been interesting because we're in this era of like such excess, whereas you've had this little set of tunes that you've like slowly dripped out over 2 years and have had like real success in that. What made you want to do it that way rather than feeling like you had to sort of keep up with everyone else and just put loads of stuff out?
Oh, okay. Do you know what it is? It's just like, it's this thing of longevity. I'm not chasing to be somebody who just has like 15 bangers in a year and whatever, and just like knock it out and have like, all the clubs singing my song all the time. It's like, I want to make different types of music. I want to make music that you can, lay down and listen to in your headphones, relaxing. I want to make music that you can love your missus to. I want to make music that you can also dance to and groove to. So in that, you have to take your time to let people into your world. People are not going to understand your world like from the jump. You just keep feeding them. You keep feeding them music so early on. They're not going to understand like where you come from, because they're going to always expect music. But when they take in a piece of music for what it is for a period of time, they get to understand that music, and they get to take in the next song at a good time, and they get to take the next song of music at a good time. And I think it's good because we're so fast with listening to music. It's 2 weeks and you're on to the next song, you know what I'm saying? But if I can give you music where you have to listen to that song because you've only got that song to listen to for a period of time, it lets you into my world a little bit more with ease. And that was kind of my thought process around it. Yeah, there's going to be a time where I might knock out like 10, 15 songs at one time or whatever, but because it's my intro into the world practically in these 2 years, I want people to understand who I am as a musician, and just to have like the freedom to explore like I'm exploring sounds.
The like Pharrell reference at the start made sense to me, in that you can listen to like a song Pharrell produced from the early 2000s, but it still sounds brand new. It hasn't aged. And I feel like with your songs, you're about to put them out tomorrow, but they've been around for 2 years.
100%, yeah.
They still sound brand new. How do you ensure that stays within the music though?
Do you know how I ensure that it stays within the music is not trying to make the music that is currently happening. And when you try and do that, that's when you put a date on the timestamp of the sound that the music is within. So, like, when I listen to Pharrell music and I listen to Frontin', you can't put a timestamp on that. If you brought it out today, it's still a banger. If you brought it out 10 years ago, it's still a banger, because he's not a guy that just listens to what's happening like right that second and say, I'm going to bring out a song exactly like that person or whatever. So I try to make the music that I just love, and that way I can ensure that if I love it today, I should love it in 10 years, hopefully, you know what I'm saying? We'll see. And I should love it in 5 years. And it's something that Pharrell's done, and it's also something that someone huge like Michael Jackson has done.
Yeah.
It's always in the songs. It's always in like the musicality in the songs that you listen to. It's never like time stamped per se. It's always in the songs.
How's it been for you having that music and then getting to witness people experiencing it 2 years down the line for the first time when you perform it live?
That is it's just nuts. I think it's just crazy. No matter how small the crowd is, or no matter how humongous the crowd is, when you see people singing back to your songs, I always get I swear I'm nearly almost surprised all the time. Like, even if they've come for me, it's like, oh, you know the songs? Because I came from a world where it was like, you know, like, cool, man, if 5 people hear it, they hear it. When a whole room singing back your songs, you're like, bro, did I really do this? Did I really, you know, make this happen where people are singing the words right back to me and having the same emotion that I feel? It's like, yo, this is crazy, man. Crazy.
Yeah. With your shows, you can go in any mood and then you'll have a good time. It's like a sort of safe space for like a good vibe. How did you develop that so early? Because I feel like it often takes people a bit of a while to get into having a good live show.
Do you know what it is? It's my family again. So I was always playing bass at church, or playing drums at bass at church or whatever. My dad was always singing. If you see my dad sing now, he's just like me. The way he jumps around left and right, he's exactly like me. So I always used to watch my dad, because my dad always used to say the live thing is so important, and I remember always used to drilling that in my head. So I used to be like, you know, if I'm gonna come out and I do anything live, I have to set the standard for how I want people to see me. And I always wanted the mix between what an MC would do, because I just loved the MC culture so much, how they would wheel up tunes, the energy of that tunes, versus the musicality of like real musicians. Because I used to love Stevie Wonder. I love going to see like Tame Impala now, you know, music like that. But what's like Tame Impala with a certain wheel up, you know, when the tune gets select, you know what I'm saying? That's cold, because you get to wheel up the tune, and that emotion of wheeling it up again that's how I wanted my shows to be. So like when I did the Boiler Room Energy, I just told them, yo, I have to get 2 keyboards
right
there. Yeah. So when you see it, it's not by chance. It's, yo, I need 2 keyboards there, and I have to have them facing, you know, each other, so I can play both on a musical one. But I want everybody to be going crazy just as much as they would if an MC was to go on stage and tear up the mic, you know what I'm saying? So I knew from early that was a thing that I wanted to do. The energy and the musicality at the same time. It's like it's freedom.
Yeah, because I've seen you do like a wheel up with a full live
100%. 100%. Now you wheel it, and it's that feeling. And you get like, who wheels up a song with a live? They do that in reggae, and that's probably where I think that's where it stemmed from. So they do that in reggae in Jamaica, and it's sick. And it's like, you know, the world has to hear it, because it's so much freedom in that. There's so much, you feel that expression when you get to that chorus. Now let's do it again. Let's go back, you know what I'm saying? So that was, we're gonna go all the way we're gonna go to stadiums, and we're gonna be wheeling up, you know, rhythms in the stadium, telling the whole stadium, let's go again, you know.
It feels like there's not like a geographical limitation to the music either. You're taking influence from everywhere.
Yeah.
Is that something that was important to you?
100%. There, man, it's tough at the same time though, because there's actually so many influences if you listen to so many different genres, and I'd make it a thing to listen to as much music that I can, so my influences are so wide that it's like, you know, how can you not put this nylon guitar in your song when Nora Jones did it in 2005, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, you know, the world has to hear it. I think it's kind of my duty to do that, because the world is so different now that it's so hard for someone to be relatable as a person, and then be able to expose people to music wider than what they would listen to. So I kind of feel like it's like a duty to me to put so much influences in my music.
Some things you might like listening to, but it might not be the right thing for you to make. How do you choose what does make it as an influence into the music, and what kind of is something that you should just enjoy and not necessarily bring in?
Do you know what I always find, and I always give the advices to people, to just make the music first. Just make whatever you want to make first, and worry about what you want to come out first later on. Just make the tunes first. If you make the tunes, no matter what your influence is, just keep on making them. You'll find a sound. It'll be noticeable, because we all have a style. We all have our hair a certain way, and then we change it after a certain years. We all wear certain trainers that we love, that we put on every day. We might have loads of trainers, but we put the same trainers on every day, you know what I'm saying? Or we might have a certain t-shirt that we love. We form our style as we grow. So I always tell people, just make the music. Just make the tunes. Make whatever you want. Just make loads of whatever you want. And then we'll figure out the rest after. Because you'll see that there'll be some cohesiveness into what you do. No matter if it's rock. You might hear rock, and then I've got like a guitar in there that is like not a rock sound. And then you'll know that's Benji, because that's something that I do in my music, So it's just making music. Just make the tunes, and you'll find it. You'll find yourself. What
is it about the set of songs that you're putting out tomorrow that made them ones that need to go out, rather than things that you made that maybe don't make it?
Do you know what it is? It's how I want to intro myself into the world. So I've got Deep End, which we all heard. I've got Can't Lose, which is like my MC sort of song, you know what I'm saying? And I've got Somebody, which is like, you know, there's got the Latin Spanish, you know, influences. And then I've got Jolene, which is like kind of in like South Africa realm or whatever. Then you'll hear Wonder Girl, which is on the EP, that is just like my African influence, and that's just got that rhythm over like trumpets and trombones. That's just lovely. And then I've got my last song, Broken Parts. It's like my Stevie Wonder song. There's no drum kit on there. It's all percussion, it's all bass line, it's all chords, and it's all harmonies. And I think that I've done it like that because now when you listen to the EP and you go forth and you listen to more music of me, at least my reference points are 5 different sounds all boxed up in one. You know, now you're not going to be shocked when you hear something, you know, different from me, because you've just heard a whole EP of different sounds, all sound like me but different.
What's the most difficult thing that you've had to overcome throughout this process so far, and how did you achieve that? In
all honesty, as a human, I don't even think I've achieved what I'm about to say yet. I think I'm still growing and learning. I have like a thing where I actually don't think that I'm that deep. I don't know if I'm good or not. I'm just making the music and it's not perfect, and I'm just getting it to a standard, and then I put it out, and I still have like a certain anxiety of like hoping the world will like it, because it might not be good or it might be good. And it's not something that you just start making music and you bring it out and then you just think you're the coldest. It's, you still get those feelings and you still get those worries, and that's just something that you either have to try and overcome over the years or get by. I don't have the advice yet because I'm still living through it.
What are you most proud of about what you've achieved so far?
Do you know what I'm most proud of? I'm most proud of that, the fact that I got to make music, yeah. It's what I love doing, and it sounds so cliche, but like I got my mum and dad a holiday from it. It's crazy. I got them a holiday from to Jamaica last year. That's my most proud moment. It's the fact that the music has made me do the things for people that I love. When you do something that you love and you're able to do some things for other people that you love via the thing that you love, it's the best feeling ever.
How have they been about? Because obviously they've encouraged you in music since so early.
Yeah.
What have they kind of been like reaction to the music?
They're like, my mum and dad, they're neeks. I'll catch my dad listening to my music on the sly like every day. And then like my mum and dad came to my live show. They recorded the whole show on the phone, like with their hand up on the phone, and my mum listens to it on her break every day, on her break from work on her headphones. I'm like, yo, guys, you know, you don't have to do this, it's cool. You heard the rhythms where my dad sings Jolene and all these other songs in the house every day. It's like, yo, they are like top 5 fans to do this, and it is the best thing ever. It's the best thing ever. It makes you want to keep going harder so that they can enjoy more and they can be more proud and more happy and sing the songs as well.
And lastly, what does success look like to you?
I think we're all successful. I think everyone's been successful. I don't think that there's a definitive thing. I don't think there's one thing that you can call success. You can't say that this person's got success and this person hasn't got success, because your success can be as small as you saying that you're going to eat one less biscuit a day. You know, you're a successful person. And then as big as, you know, you want to be the president of the world or the prime minister of the world. So success doesn't have any limitation and it has no boundaries. It's just the idea of saying that you want to do something and doing it. And I think that is success.
Thank you for listening to Making Conversation with Grant Brydon featuring BenjiFlow. If you like this episode, then please be sure to rate, comment and subscribe wherever you're listening to podcasts. You can find BenjiFlow on socials and listen to his BENERGY EP, available on all streaming services now. You can find me on social media at Grant Brydon. Thank you to Levi's House of Strauss, where this episode of Making Conversation was recorded.